everyone, welcome back to my channel, Unicorns and Typewriters. My name is Skylar and I'm back today with another exciting video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about another epic experience in my preparation to get ready to move to South Korea and become an EPIK teacher. So I did take a trip to New York City to my closest Korean consulate to submit the paperwork to have my visa processed that I will need to get into Korea and begin my orientation with EPIK. So I do believe once I get into Korea, I will then have to get some type of more permanent residency card. It was the same kind of deal as it was when I went to live in England for a year. So when I went to live in England for a year, they were still doing stickers in passports, which is what they used to do for Korea as well. I don't know if it's true of other countries or if this is just a thing with Korea right now, but they decided apparently back in 2020 that they were no longer going to do stickers in passports. So now it is something that, from my understanding, you print at home once it has been processed after 14 days of either going in and submitting your paperwork or mailing in your paperwork to get your visa. The first thing you're going to want to do is figure out where your closest Korean consulate is. So you do have to look up, when I was looking up mine, I looked up the Korean consulate in New York City and the Korean consulate in Washington, D.C. because I am on the Northeast coast, so I knew those would be the two closest ones. And it turns out that in the state that I live in, I have to go to the one in New York City. Even though I'm actually basically equal distance between New York City and also going to Washington, D.C., if I went to the Washington, D.C. consulate, they would not accept me. You have to go on the website and look at the states that consulate helps. So for me, it was New York City, and I think New York City includes Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and the state of New York, of course. I think those are the ones. There might be another one included in that. So definitely double check and see, what your state goes with. If there's a couple in your area, make sure you go to the one that your state is listed on. That's really important because if you go to the wrong one, they won't be able to help you. So I quickly realized it was the New York City consulate that I had to go to. So I got all my paperwork together, which included what EPIK sends you. So EPIK will send you an official invitation for a visa appointment, and it basically just says that they have hired you. It says your name, your birthday, and that they are basically offering you a job and that they have already screened you and are welcoming you to get a visa. Because normally when you go to get a visa, if you are going for even the E2 visa, I think, which is what EPIK is on, if you go on the Korean consulate website, it is listed in two different ways. There's the E2 visa, and then there's an E2 visa that in parentheses says EPIK, because it is a little different, because if you're going for an E2 visa that is not with EPIK, you would have to show them things like your FBI background check and different documents that we've already shown EPIK. We've already been so screened by EPIK that this letter is basically EPIK saying this person has already been screened. We've already accepted them, and you no longer have to do any extra screening on them. So the consulate could still ask for additional information. That is a possibility. So you are supposed to keep an eye out for that in case they do contact you and say, hey, we require proof of this, or we are going to require you to send us this, or whatever. But for EPIK teachers, this little fancy piece of paper that has a pretty little gold seal on it is your invitation, and it's the, golden ticket that gets you your visa quicker and more easily. So, of course, I brought that with me. You also have to print off an application from the Korean consulate website. So I printed off the application, I filled that all in, and then you also have to take the contract that EPIK will send you. Usually it is just sort of a mock contract. It is not your final contract that you'll be signing at the end of orientation. So it is a little generalized, and they will tell you more about that, and that could, of course, change in the future. So keep that in mind. But you will basically need to sign every single page. It's already been stamped by the Office of Education, so you take that with you after signing every single page. And then you also need to take your passport and a color copy of your passport, because they will want to keep the copy and they will want to see your real passport if you're going in person like I did. If you are mailing it in, I believe you have to have a notarized copy of your passport. So they don't want your original passport if you're mailing it in. You have to copy it, get it notarized, like at a bank usually is a great way to get it notarized for free. They will notarize it for you, and then you can send that in the mail and not your original passport. But going in person, you need both, not a notarized photocopy, just a color copy, because they will have the original there to check and make sure it's real, unlike if you're mailing it. And then you also have to have a passport-sized photo. For some reason, EPIK's directions said to bring 2, and the Korean consulate only seemed to say you needed 1. It did turn out that I only needed 1, but I brought 2 because that's what EPIK said, and I didn't want to not have the right number. You might just want to bring an extra one just in case they're doing things differently. It's never hurts to have extras. But anyway, so that I believe was pretty much it. Yeah, so it's not too bad. And then there were 2 supplementary forms that I filled out as well that actually they didn't even want anymore. On the website it said to fill them out. They were like about quarantining and something else, and that's not even applicable anymore, but EPIK still said to fill them out. The website still said to fill them out, so I did go ahead and fill them out. I think it's worth doing. Anything the website says to do, go ahead and do, but they didn't even want those 2 supplementary forms, so it is possible you could show up and they don't want everything, but that's okay. Better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So yeah, so I got on a train. I took a 2-hour train ride to New York City, and my dad actually came along with me for this trip. I was under the impression I was going to have to go back a second time when I went, because I thought that they would have to give me a physical, like some kind of card or visa. I didn't understand the whole printing thing at that point, that apparently now you just print it at home after they process it. So I went. It was a very official, cool, fancy looking building. We went in, we waited in chairs for a little while. They called us up. Yeah, I would say that the consulates, at least the New York City consulate, was not super like English friendly. There was a security guard there, and she really helped me out because I actually couldn't quite understand if I was being called up to the front or not. So that might be something just as fair warning to keep in mind. I am trying to learn Korean. I am working on my Hangul, but I am not perfect, and I just was not prepared. So luckily that security guard was super sweet and she helped me out. But I did, go up and I talked to the woman a little bit. She took all my documents. She asked for things one at a time. You also have to bring a $45 fee. That is the cost for the one in New York City. I don't know if that's true everywhere, but it was a $45 fee. They only wanted cash, so you have to make sure you have cash on you if you're going to the New York City consulate. I would double check with any other consulate before. One thing that was super frustrating was that I was not able to get anyone on the phone at the New York City consulate before going. I did try to call them a couple of times because I was trying to understand that whole, like, do I have to come back a second time? How does this work? And I could not get through to anyone. So it was really hard. Like, it was actually hanging up on me once I selected to speak to a representative. And finally, I went through like a different menu that was actually for Korean speakers because I was going through the English speaking menu, and I got a really nice lady who did send me through to leave a message, but I never got a call back. So that was really disconcerting. But I will say, once I got there, they were helpful. My name was on the list. So you do have to go on and make an appointment before you go. There are links on the Korean consulate website. I did have to download a translator app onto my phone because part of the appointment making was in all Korean and I couldn't quite read it all. So I did use a translator app to get my appointment set, which was a little overwhelming, but I did it and it's okay. And when I got there and walked in the door, the guy had a list with my name on it, and I highlighted my name to let them know I was there. And then they sent us up in this super fancy like elevator where the guy at the front desk presses a button and there's no buttons on the elevator, and it felt like very top secret. It was pretty cool. I've never really experienced anything like that. The reason why I went in person was because on the website it says that it will take 14 days to process if you drop off all of your paperwork and submit in person, whereas if you mail it in, it will definitely take more than 14 days, and they don't guarantee how many days. So even if I mailed it in like 2-day shipping, it got there in 2 days, they did it in 14 days and then they sent it back, and I sent like prepaid envelope for 2 days back to me. They just won't guarantee it, I guess, because they know that the mail is unreliable. I guess they can't guarantee that they'll open it the day that they get it or process it the day that they get it. So I felt with my time restraints, knowing that I am leaving to go to Korea in less than a month, I needed to know that it would be ready in 14 days. So I took the 2-hour train ride, went, did it, like had lunch in New York City, walked around, hung out a little bit, got a little souvenir for myself, got a cute little souvenir for someone else, and basically just got back on the train and went home. And it was actually a really fun day with my dad. We had a lot of fun. At that point, I was under the impression I was going back. So I thought I was going to go back with my one friend at a later date and that we were going to do a lot of fun stuff. And I was really looking forward to that. But I was also super nervous about traveling to New York City any closer to when I'm leaving on my flight to Korea, because I obviously don't want to risk getting sick with the ailment whose name we shall not say. You all know what I'm talking about. I am so scared because I do not want to have to quarantine and I don't want to have to miss orientation and I want to be able to get on my plane. So there's a lot of paranoia going on there, and basically, I am actually kind of glad that I don't have to go back to New York City again before I'm leaving. But I had a really fun day, and I don't know when I'll be back again. And I had not been actually for 5 years. I had not been in New York City since 2017, before I went and lived abroad in England for a year and then came back, and then the pandemic. And, I used to go to New York City almost every year when I was younger as a kid because it's not too far away. Me and my family and friends and stuff used to go and see Broadway shows. And I actually have really missed New York City, and it was really amazing to see it. So I wanted to share some clips from that time. I wanted to give you guys some information here about the E2 visa for EPIK and how my experience went getting it. And then now I hope that you will enjoy this fun little travel vlog that I did of my day in New York City. Here it is. Enjoy.
Nothing like your smile in the morning, following the linings on your cheeks. 'Cause baby, in your absence life is boring, so I'll never leave. It's easier to love when it's you by my side, shining through the cracks like the first morning light, feeling like a child through the days and the nights, living in your arms as the years go by. It's easier to love, oh, easier to love, oh. There's nothing like the way that you adore me. I can feel love from miles away. And the light in your eyes tells me stories of life in a more perfect place where I wanna stay. It's easier to love when it's you by my side, shining through the cracks like the first morning light, feeling like a child through the days and the nights, living in your arms as the years go by. It's easier to love, oh, easier to love, oh. If the sky is falling down on me, you'll be the one that's by my side to lift away from me. And if I find myself in reckless days, you'll be the one to pull me back into reality. Nothing like your smile in the morning, following the linings on your cheeks. 'Cause baby, in your absence life is boring, so I'll never leave.